Time for a look at your West Tennessee forecast with meteorologist Brian Davis.
And a very good day, everyone. Hope you're having a great Tuesday. It is hot. That's the magic word for today. And you know what the magic word is for tomorrow and Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday and Monday and Tuesday of next week is? Hot. All right, so we got to try to stay cool any way we can. Let's go ahead and take a look at the tropics, because we're getting a lot of heat in here and around the Gulf. That is going to help fuel some tropical weather. You know it will. Well, we're in the peak of tropical weather, so we've been showing you the tropical weather updates, and you can see we've got that 70% risk of development over the next 7 days. Now, this system out here has a lot to get through. It's a lot of dust out there. They don't like dust. There's quite a bit of shear out there. Some models are suggesting this tropical cyclone there in the orange shaded area will develop and try to push in our general direction, but some have it falling apart. It's a long way out. Either way, it would be about a week and a half to 2 weeks away from landfall, and here we're near us. But it's something that we're watching, so we'll be showing you that as we continue on with our weathercasts each day. So let's go ahead and take a look back at home, though. We're looking at our normal here over the last month. We've had 1.54 official inches of rain recorded out at the airport. So far today, we've topped out at 93, but we've got a lot of areas that are topping out right now at 95, and we could even have some 96s out there by the time we get through the next hour or so. We did set a record high this day back in history, 2007, of 101, so it's been hot before. And then 55 for a morning low. That was a chilly morning this day in history back in 1989. And, you know, I remember the 80s. There were some real cold spots there back in the 80s, if you remember. And we had some big snowstorms in that time, too. So that was kind of a cooler air pattern. Yeah, we're, started off there at 72, so a little bit above normal for our morning high, low. And then we topped out so far 3 degrees above normal, but again, a lot of you are 5 degrees above normal, and it's only going to get worse as we head into the week. So let's go ahead and take a look at our cameras across the area. Oh man, look at that traffic in the Memphis area. 93 degrees, it feels like 101. Better hope that air conditioner keeps going there. Same thing in Savannah, but it feels like 110. That's why you guys have been added to the heat advisory, all of West Tennessee. 95 there at UT Martin, far to the north, and 93 right now in Parsons. Our heat index readings generally between about 103 and 110 this afternoon. So steamy, steamy hot out there. Here's a look at the temperatures across the board. We've got 93 right now in Memphis, 93 in Dyersburg, and look at the north counties here. Union City and Ridgely. Whew, topping out at 95. It is steaming hot right there at the Reelfoot Lake. Man, I'm telling you what, use the sunblock, make sure you're under the umbrella, the UV umbrella, and take those breaks. Drink clear liquids. Now remember, the sodas and the alcoholic beverages, they're only going to fool your brain for a short term into thinking that you have drank something. But in fact, caffeine and alcohol will dehydrate you further. That can lead to heat illness much quicker. So make sure you're throwing a lot of water in there in between if you're doing either one of those. But either one of those, as far as caffeine and alcohol, not recommended in an extreme heat situation that we're moving into. All right, enough of that. Dresden, 95 degrees right now. 93 in Huntington and Camden. 93 in Lexington and Parsons. Selmer coming in at 93. It is hot either way you slice it out there. We got the southwest breezes there. Yeah, that can help a little bit, but even under the shade tree, you can still get heat illness with up to 15 mile per hour wind gusts at times. It is still brutally hot out there, and we're headed for much higher heat in the days ahead. So if you didn't believe me a few days ago or a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about this heat coming up, I bet I've made a believer out of you yesterday, and if not yesterday, you're starting to believe me today but just hang on. It's only going to get hotter as we move into the middle and end of the week. Radar, not surprised. We've been seeing some storms up here to the northeast. And friends, we've had tornado warnings up here as well. You can see 3, 4, 5, looks like about 6 or 7 tornado warnings that have been issued right there for parts of Ohio into Kentucky. That's the red boxed areas. Look at that. Major, major severe weather that they're dealing with here in northern Kentucky and parts of southern Ohio. A really bad day there. Got those tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings. Now, the good news, that's not coming our direction right now. I say right now because I'm going to show you something here in a moment that suggests otherwise heading into late tonight and tomorrow. We'll take a look at why that I'm saying this here in just a moment. But right now, all is pretty quiet out there. I see one little blink down here in South Benton County, a little quick 5-minute shower along 641 that is developed this evening. But otherwise, it's mainly just a mix of clouds and very hot sunshine. All right, let's take a look at our severe weather outlook because we're going to get into what I was talking about as far as storms and possible severe. Notice for the rest of this evening, it's off to the northeast of us. And it's pretty high, too. 3 out of 5 risk on that scale. All right, but watch what happens tomorrow. It starts to drop a little further south, and some of West Tennessee is going to be included within that. So let's zoom in, and there you can see local areas that are going to be included. Benton County, northern Decatur County, central and northeastern Carroll County, most of Weakley County, Henry County, and also northeast Obion County are going to be included. And I think I said northern Decatur County as well, but that's a 1 out of 5. Now, we've got a couple of opportunities that we could get a strong or even a severe storm across that area. One will be coming up late tonight. That's the lower chance. The better chance is going to be tomorrow late afternoon. And listen, there's going to be a big gap in between both of those, and it's going to be hot as get out with sunshine and lots of sun, blazing heat in between. So we're kind of going to get brushed up there to the north and east. All right, we'll take a look at it here on Futurecast. I want to start off with the wide view. High pressure off to the west of us. That's the big heat dome that's been setting up. Look at all these little waves of outflow boundaries and storms. Look, there's one coming through northwest Tennessee. There's additional waves that are going to be nearby. This is going from now through Thursday. We're kind of right on the edge of that dome of high pressure. Right there is overnight tonight. See that? That first wave. Then watch for tomorrow afternoon. Watch this next wave right down out of Kentucky and Missouri. And boom, it does kind of fizzle out over northwest Tennessee. We're going to zoom in on it too. But I wanted to show you the larger pattern. And then watch that high expanding eastward by the time we get into Thursday. And that's only going to lead to more extreme heat. We'll probably have extreme heat warnings Thursday into at least Friday and Saturday. And they could go at least heat advisories to extreme heat warnings into the first couple of days of next week. So a long duration of intense heat. And that's when it becomes more serious. You can start getting the power blackouts and the overloaded power systems. So it's looking more and more serious as we continue to see that there's going to be several days of this intense heat. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to zoom in on this and give you a closer view of what's going to be happening. And let's see, let me take, let's take this off. There we go. All right, so we're going to let this run through and we'll do a replay here. Now we'll show you, here's into Thursday and, Friday morning. All right, here we go. We're going to restart it. Rest of this evening, watch late tonight. There comes one wave, 2 o'clock in the morning, brushes north and eastern portions, kind of right down through the I-40 corridor. Then it's gone by sunrise. Then we got another little wave into the afternoon right there, northwest Tennessee. So that second wave tomorrow after about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that's where we would have the greatest potential of a stray storm. But again, it's couple of waves right there, and that's going to be in the early morning hours of tomorrow. beyond midnight. It's going to be cooler by then. And then you can see a few storms in northwest Tennessee there. Could get a stray storm that could be severe within that. And then Thursday looks pretty dry for us. There's the afternoon Thursday night. So we'll let it run one more time here. Here we go. 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and then it's gone. And then here we go into the afternoon tomorrow, cloud cover at times. Look at those little storms, especially those over McKenzie and Paris. Those could be strong or severe there from about 4 p.m. through about 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Now, it's not a major severe event. This would be just a few, maybe a couple of little storms as you were seeing, and one of those could get severe. It's, very, very far and few in between. And again, out of both of these events, most areas will not get any rain. But again, there we are tomorrow afternoon after 4 o'clock. There's that next time window. But again, from about 6 a.m. till about 3 p.m. tomorrow, it is going to be dry. It's going to be a hot, blazing sunshine in between those clouds. It's going to be a tough go. So I wanted to give you a good look at that, being that we've got this heat wave that's going on. All right, let's talk about the rest of this evening. Look at that. We could go as high as 95. Some areas already have, like Union City. But we'll be dropping down into the 80s, but it's going to take all the way till 7 p.m., and we're talking about upper 80s. And look at this. Overnight tonight, we're staying no less than the mid-70s. So let's go ahead and take a look at the morning. So there's 5 a.m., 77 humid, balmy degrees. You could break a sweat overnight because it's going to be that humid and that warm. Now remember, most houses, air conditioning is about 70 to 72 degrees, and we're sitting no less than 75 for the coolest part of tomorrow. So we drop to 75 there at 6 a.m. School buses are going to be on the run. 75 degrees, warm, humid, and balmy. Then look at that. Afternoon, 95 degrees. And there'll be some isolated areas as high as 97 degrees during the afternoon. Might pack a extra water bottle for the kiddos there, and use extreme caution. I'm sure there'll be some shorter recess, and that a word of caution to any of our local schools there, because the heat illness situation could happen. I know back in our days as kids, a heat advisory just meant, well, you just maybe come home a minute early. But back then we weren't as used to being in air conditioning. Everywhere we go now, it's air conditioned, so our bodies are not as adjusted to the heat, a lot of us. So you can get heat on us real quickly. All right, so let's move forward. Let's take a look at our model blend of highs. And boy, does this look ominous. Look at that, upper 90s as we head into the next few days. And look at that 100 that we got there. So yeah, that's going to be real toasty. And look at how many days. I mean, from today, 7 days, and then it goes in, by the way, to Tuesday and possibly part of Wednesday before we start to feel some relief in these hot air extremes. So be very careful over the next few days. The more days that this extreme heat continues, the more we start to hear of heat fatalities. And remember, heat is the silent killer. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the weekend. So a big peek into the weekend. We're getting closer and closer. No change. I'm still going with 98 degrees for Saturday under blazing hot sunshine, to 100 on Sunday. Heat index readings as high as 121 during the peak of the afternoon on Sunday. Yeah. And by then, we will have been under several days of this intense heat. That's the grand finale, friends, is this coming weekend. All right, let's take a look at that 7-day forecast. So here you go. 95 or higher for at least the next 8 days. Now, this 7-day forecast, Wednesday, we're still looking as high as about 96, but at least it starts to fall. And by the time we get into Wednesday, it was looking back into the low 90s, which is still going to be hot, but it won't be as dangerous as what we're looking at over the next several days. So big caution there. I'm going to leave this up for a little bit longer. I know a lot of you tell me leave the 7-day up longer. It's the most important time of the forecast. So there you are, my friends. I'm happy to do it. You know, one thing about West Tennessee Weather Channel, we've got all the time in the world for the Weathercast, and you'll get a much more thorough look. Just like the weather Futurecast, we played that 4 times. Reran. So you could get a very good look at that. In traditional TV, we were lucky if we got 30 seconds. And we were lucky if we had 30 seconds to talk about the 7 days. So there's your good minute and a half. Feast your eyes on it, because, folks, the main thing on this 7-day I see is danger, danger, danger. So remember your heat safety tips. Drink clear liquids every 15 minutes. Don't go out in the hot part of the day unless necessary. And if you do, limit that time, very short increments. Light colored clothing, clear liquids, check the back seat. We always hear of a kid getting left in the back seat. Your dogs, I would leave them at home and check them on at home, because they're going to be better off in the air conditioning if they're an inside pet. But I just wouldn't risk with the young kids, and I know there's situations, I know, but we just got to be very careful this time of the year. All right, guys, have a great rest of your evening. We'll see you again around 10, good Lord willing. If not, this will replay again. In fact, I may not see you at 10, because we got something important we got to do around 9 o'clock tonight, and it may run into the time. But there will not be any changes. Otherwise, around 11, I'll be back in the studio. We'll also be monitoring that weather for the early morning hours. If there's any severe weather out of that, we'll crawl that at the bottom of the screen, and your county will light up. And then also we'll drop in, if it's, pretty bad, severe thunderstorm warning, we'll go on and track those storms as always. And then again, tomorrow afternoon after 4 o'clock, that little small chance we got there, we'll be tracking those as well. All right, guys, have a great rest of your evening wherever you are. Thanks for tuning in, as always, to West Tennessee Weather Channel, and we'll see you back the next time.
We are West Tennessee Weather Channel.